What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's fastest lap in Barcelona preseason was not just a record, but a declaration of war? Has Ferrari really built a weapon for 2026, or are we facing another technical illusion? Stay, because what you are going to discover is going to blow your mind. Lewis Hamilton didn't need words to send a clear message to the entire grid. He did it with a timer. 1 minute and 16.348 seconds on the asphalt of Barcelona. A brand that, at first glance, may seem like just another preseason fact. But when placed under the magnifying glass, it becomes a central piece of the puzzle that Ferrari has been quietly building since mid-2025. That time, achieved with the Spec A of the SF26, surpassed George Russell's best record by just 97 thousandths. It may seem irrelevant in figures, but the conditions between both laps were completely different, and therein lies the first crucial detail. And there is more. This fastest lap was achieved by a car that, in theory, was not designed to be fast yet. The sole purpose of the SF26 Spec A was to validate correlation between the simulator, wind tunnel, and real track. It was full of temporary parts, non-optimized components, conservative aerodynamics. And even so, he managed to place himself just 0.6 of a second behind the best race time recorded in the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix. It is a fact that cannot be ignored. Because those cars, those from last year, had 30% more downforce and were 30 kilograms heavier. And yet, Hamilton came dangerously close to that performance, with a platform that's not yet at its peak. This type of result does not happen by accident. Ferrari was not looking to impress, but to collect data. And yet, he broke records. This raises an uncomfortable question for the rest of the teams. If Ferrari is already setting these times with the car in base mode, what will happen when it deploys its real car in Bahrain? The Spec A was developed with a conservative approach to all its key components. The flat bottom, one of the most important pieces under the new 2026 regulations, was deliberately simple. It contained no radical solutions or last-minute experiments. Instead, Ferrari opted for a symmetrical design, with low sensitivity to rake, and focused on studying how the air behaves with the new volume of the car. The pontoons, for their part, were designed with safe shapes, clean surfaces, contained volumes, and without the aggressive cuts that have already been seen in cars like the McLaren MCL40. The Spec B will not be a simple update. It will be a total change of concept. It will include a completely redesigned new bottom, a critical piece to generating efficient downforce under the new rules. This version will eliminate the double link system in favor of a cleaner solution, which optimizes the flow to the diffuser and reduces parasitic turbulence. The pontoons will adopt more aggressive shapes, inspired by solutions from Red Bull and McLaren, but with their own interpretation. There will be changes to the front spoiler, to the profile of the end plates, and a revision of the halo area is even expected to improve air channeling towards the upper intake. But the most interesting thing about Spec B is not in the visible pieces, but in what it implies on an organizational and cultural level. Because what Ferrari is building is not just a car, but a new way of working. Under the direction of Fred Vasseur and Loic Serra, the team has adopted a methodical, patient, and execution-focused mindset. They have given up on the old Ferrari that shone in testing and fell apart in the race. Now they want to be the team that arrives at the first race with room to evolve, not to correct. And that brings us to the next critical phase, the implementation of Spec B. As confirmed by Vasseur himself, the plan is to introduce it during the 2 official test sessions in Bahrain, from February 11th to 13th, and from February 18th to 20th of the same month. But there is still a bigger unknown. Some of the Spec B's aerodynamic solutions are so innovative that they require direct approval from the FIA. This suggests that Ferrari is exploring the limits of the regulations, looking for technical loopholes that allow them to create invisible advantages, until they translate into tenths on the track. Why is this strategy so important? Because in the current F1 environment, mistakes are paid for in millions. A failed update can compromise an entire season. That's why Ferrari is measuring each step with millimeter precision. Using Spec A to validate and understand the fundamentals of the car not only minimizes risks, it gives them time to sharpen the real weapons without anyone seeing the blow coming. While other teams arrive in Bahrain with definitive versions, without yet knowing if they will work, Ferrari will do so with a car already understood in its essence. And that, in a sport where track time is limited and each development costs millions, is the difference between adapting or leading. And if Spec A was already able to put Hamilton in front, what can happen when Spec B is released? That is the question that is beginning to worry in paddocks like Milton Keynes, Brackley, and Woking. Because in Maranello they are not running, they are calculating. To understand why the SF26 is so feared, you have to look beyond the stopwatch. The numbers say a lot, but the technical details reveal even more. Ferrari hasn't just built a fast car. He has built a strategically brilliant car. One that has quietly solved the two most persistent problems in the Scuderia's modern era: chronic overweight and aerodynamic inconsistency in long races. Starting with the weight. The SF26 Spec A has been approved at 770 kilograms, just 2 kilograms above the regulatory minimum of 768 kilograms. Under normal conditions this would already be positive, but in modern Formula 1 where each extra kilogram can cost you between 0.035 and 0.050 seconds per lap, this figure becomes a devastating tactical advantage. Because it doesn't just mean that the car is light. It means that Ferrari can use that extra margin to strategically distribute ballast and adjust the balance of the car depending on the circuit, the type of tire, the fuel level, and even the driving style of each driver. And this is where Hamilton becomes a multiplier. Because no active pilot knows how to exploit the nuances of a setup like him. With a light, stable, and balanced car, Hamilton can modulate its driving to levels that others cannot achieve. You can change your braking references curve by curve. You can alter the way you heat the tires to maximize the grip window. And it can extend a stint 5 or 6 laps longer than the competition without sacrificing performance. That not only gives him an advantage, it gives power to the team in terms of race strategy. Regarding aerodynamic design, Ferrari has opted for a philosophy of dynamic stability, prioritizing balance between axles, even under crosswind conditions or when the car is high on fuel. This translates into a platform that does not break down when the car is heavy, something that does affect many of its rivals, especially on long runs. In race simulations carried out in Barcelona, the SF26 showed a performance loss of less than 3% between fast laps and long runs, a figure that puts it above Red Bull and McLaren in terms of consistency. Another underrated technical aspect is the heat treatment of the car. Ferrari has completely redesigned the cooling system to adapt to the new aerodynamic flows without compromising efficiency. This allows the car to be operated with more aggressive engine maps for longer without entering overheating zones. In other words, the SF26 can maintain its power without penalizing the rest of the system. Hamilton, in particular, has highlighted this quality in internal meetings, stressing that he can now push for more laps without having to modify his style to protect the power unit or brakes. And here we come to the true differential factor: Hamilton's driving style in this new stage. At Mercedes, Hamilton was characterized by driving with high braking loads, relying on weight transfer to gain traction. But at Ferrari, he has done something that few expected. He has adopted Leclerc's style. That is, braking for less time and charging more speed at the apex of the curve, sacrificing some initial aggressiveness in exchange for greater fluidity in the middle step and better preparation for the exit. This has required a complete adaptation, not only physically but mentally. And yet, he has done it in record time. In just 2 races he has already shown himself to be more consistent than Leclerc in several qualifying phases and has been able to close stints with better degradation. This type of internal evolution in a pilot of his age is not common. But Hamilton is not just another driver. He is a competitor whose obsession is not only to win, but to constantly reinvent himself to remain the best. And when you combine that mentality with a car that gives it the right tools, optimized weight, aerodynamic consistency, strategic flexibility, the result is a points predator. A silent leader. Someone who doesn't need to shout or give grandiose statements. You just need a dry track, a stable car, and a smart strategy. And that's exactly what you have right now. With the Spec B still to come, and with Hamilton sharper than ever, the scenario for 2026 begins to lean. Not towards a dominated era yet, because that remains to be seen, but towards a new type of threat. One that doesn't come with empty promises, but with measurable facts, proven adaptability, and a driver who has proven that true speed is not in the car, but in how it is used. The biggest change at Ferrari is not in the car. It's in the mentality. And that transformation is, possibly, more radical and impactful than any aerodynamic modification. What the Scuderia is executing is not just a technical evolution from the SF25 to the SF26. It is a cultural revolution. A total break with her recent past, the one that so many times condemned her to being fast in tests and inconsequential on Sundays. The use of the SF26 Spec A as the initial platform was neither a miscalculation nor a technical deficiency. It was a statement. A silent message to his rivals: we know where we are, we know where we are going, and we don't need to impress now, because we will dominate later. And that mentality, that change of priorities, is deeply disruptive in an environment like that of modern Formula One, where short-termism is the norm. This new Ferrari is not obsessed with Friday's fastest lap. He obsesses over the precise correlation between wind tunnel, simulator, and track. It does not sacrifice reliability for accelerated innovation. Build a robust foundation and, on top of it, project a phased and aggressive development. The Spec B is the first big step in that direction. But it won't be the last. So when the Spec B makes its debut in Bahrain, the important thing won't be whether it sets the fastest time. The important thing will be how little of the already visible car actually represents its full potential. Because if Ferrari has achieved this level of performance with a basic version, what are they hiding from us in Maranello? Leave it in the comments what you think about all this.